It's 9 p.m. Do you know where your key fob is?
Hey there, Nate Benson here. No cap. Tonight on the agenda is absolutely unhinged, low key. If you thought I was done yapping about the city budget, bestie, boy, do I have a peace bridge to sell you. We are maxing out on budget content this week, including the Ryan administration's ARC, possibly borrowing up to $500 million through the Buffalo Fiscal Stability Authority. We're going to keep going. We are not normal about this, fam. Plus, the Common Council had main character moments this week. The Finance Committee must cease streaming. They understood the assignment. Kind of. We'll talk about that in a few moments. And the state's #2 lawmaker said Ryan's borrowing plan is cooked. Like it's not happening unless it triggers a hard control board. Like chaperone security guards rizzing down a mob of photographers at the airport, it's giving urgency. Let's go! On the agenda starts right now. Thanks for streaming with us this week. On Monday, the Ryan administration revealed that they want the ability to borrow as much as $500 million through the Buffalo Fiscal Stability Authority, a move that we have not seen before. The catch? They want to do it and have it not trigger a hard control board. Here's the press gaggle with the deputy mayor about it.
Last week, Mayor Ryan announced his plans to increase the property tax levy by 25%, saying that the city simply doesn't have enough revenue to operate. One question I had as I thought about this all weekend, because my life is one big oyster.
Is 25% a firm number, or is that a tough negotiating tactic that you'll settle for 15?
The mayor campaigned on honest, genuine numbers of what it will actually cost to run the city. And so right now, the homestead tax rate going from 652 to 809 is about where we're at.
And how much would that raise to help with the $109 million deficit?
It's almost half of it. It's close to $45 million.
And again, the $109 million, we've heard this deficit number, well, that particular number was the first I heard was Thursday. We've heard many different deficit numbers, and the council's again expressing frustration. No one seems to know what the deficit is. So how do you get to 109? Because a couple weeks ago it was 30.
So I would actually, I wouldn't use the term deficit per se. I'd say that's our budget gap for the 26-27 budget. So where does that come from? That comes from if we back out all the fake revenues, uncertain revenues, no levy increase, no additional aid from Albany, no AIM, no in-rem sale, all those different variables. So those are all backed out. That's where we get to that number. And then we plug things in to get back up where we are. We're doing an in-rem foreclosure auction, the first one since 2019. We have additional aid thanks to Governor Hochul to the tune of $10 million. There was additional $5 million in AIM in the original budget proposal. We're looking at ways to increase fee and fine collection. We're sending things out to collections from the Treasury Department. We're working with the Law Department on administrative adjudication, so things that were sitting in house and court can be brought in-house to be closed more quickly. And of course, the levy increase. So all of those pieces are part of the puzzle to get up to that gap closer.
While Deputy Mayor Swanekamp maintains it is, it's not the only tool that the Ryan administration wants to use. A new bill being proposed by Senator April Baskin in Albany would allow the Ryan administration to borrow as much as $500 million from the Buffalo Fiscal Stability Authority over the next 4 years. That would give the administration the ability to fix some of those broken dump trucks I saw being towed away on Monday afternoon while working on this story.
Why raise taxes and borrow with the control board?
So think of the control board as just a tool, right? That dollar figure isn't what we actually intend to borrow. That's just giving some cap above their existing level of $175 million. And that can be used for an array of things, including regular bonds. All the general obligation bonds the city issues for things like buying fire trucks or fixing roads or bridges or fixing buildings. You can do that through BFSA at a much lower interest rate because they have a AAA rating. So there's a benefit in terms of savings for that. That's all we were looking at. Right now, our focus right now is on, if we can, avoid going through with the parking ramp transaction and getting the money we need for that, around $46 million over 2 years, getting that out of a deficit bond, which will have much lower interest over 10 years versus the parking ramp transaction, which will have over $20 million in interest payments over 20 years.
So you want the ability to bond more, but not necessarily go to that cap?
Frankly, if it'll make folks in Albany comfortable, we're happy with a cap of $46 million. And that's been communicated to the state budget office.
There's already one local lawmaker, Joseph Golombek, who has questioned if the executive office can't make cuts. In particular, they've mentioned the fact there are 4 deputy mayors. You're one of them. That's budgeted at $800K for all 4. Can you just explain, does that cost taxpayers anything? Has that increased the budget overall for the city?
That has not increased the budget, because when we did our reorganization plan before coming into office, that was actually a plan that had net savings with it, not added costs. So that already was paid for by doing some efficiencies and finding efficiencies in other departments, staff for boards that were non-existent, things like that. So we actually did achieve savings to pay for all of those items. We're always looking for efficiencies, and you'll actually see some cuts in certain departments in the budget itself. There are cuts and adjustments, but we're reorganizing things in a way we're not actually just cutting to the bone.
Language in Baskin's bill would not trigger a hard control board. Right now, the city can borrow $175 million, but anything used for operational costs would trigger that hard control board again.
So you want the ability to bond more, but not necessarily go to that cap?
Frankly, if it'll make folks in Albany comfortable, we're happy with a cap of $46 million. And that's been communicated to the state budget office.
Mayor Ryan campaigned on not using one-shot revenue deals or budget gimmicks to fix the city's finances. But one could argue that borrowing...
Isn't that essentially kicking the can down the road, borrowing and let a future administration, future generation pay for that?
So right now, we're really focusing on avoiding having to go through the parking ramp sale to avoid losing out on the reoccurring revenue from Buffalo Civic auto ramps of around $5 million per year. So that's our main focus, is pay less interest and not lose the reoccurring revenue.
What about the hotel tax? Is that still in play, or you going to have that removed?
Well, it's in place and it's bringing in some revenue for now, and we need every penny we can get. So we're pushing ahead. The finance office has been working on ensuring we're maximizing our collections there. We'll maybe see about $1 million total for this year.
You had mentioned LED lights, fire trucks. Aren't there federal programs that can help the city pay for those?
Sure, there's a ton, and actually the cost for some of these the LED lights, for instance, is astonishingly low, actually, because of the energy savings associated with it. And we're taking advantage of every possible grant opportunity out there. The city does have a lot of grant resources available to us, especially on the capital front, but because of the cash flow issue, these reimbursable grants become incredibly onerous to deal with. And so until we get our cash flow in a better place, it'd be hard to take advantage of those programs.
Right now, no one on the council approves of 20. I know. No one on the council right now approves of a 25%. They all said they'd vote against right now, which could cause a kerfuffle down the road. Is the administration willing to work on that number?
Again, we're presenting the actual honest-to-God numbers. We'll be at council, happy to explain every rationale that went into this number and decision of this, and we'll hope folks will listen to us and make up their minds.
Coming up, while the Ryan administration wants to borrow from the BFSA, the Assembly Majority Leader says that's not happening unless one condition is met. But first, the weekend weather. Welcome back. Assembly Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes is weighing in on the Buffalo budget process, and she's saying Ryan's plan to borrow from the BFSA is a hard no unless he does this one thing. You met recently with the mayor. It seems like you've got more questions stemming from that meeting about the budget and the city's finances.
Well, when my staff and I met with the mayor on last Friday, we heard him, and honestly, we don't personally agree with the fact that we need to use our budget time to do the borrowing through Buffalo fiscal stability. I don't think that's necessary to do that right now. But what I said to the mayor at the time is, you've had a long time to figure out how to begin working through the city's fiscal issues. And we haven't been working on them for a while. But this is not what we necessarily do. We usually just use our ability as the state representative to go to the state and get what it is that you need. But you're asking for some things that I don't think the state will do. So I really want to help you. Let us do a deep dive and figure out how we can help you. So there's a lot of questions that we would need to have answers to that will help direct what we can do most beneficial to the city of Buffalo. One thing, things changed a lot too with the mayor. I mean, he has a media interviews, and all of a sudden something changes. The numbers change, the value of the taxes changes, how much he wants to borrow changes. So looking for some specificity on what can exactly happen, and wanting to ensure that there is some relationship with the Buffalo Comptroller's Office, there is some relationship with the City Council, and that we're able to be helpful in solving these problems for the city. Mind you, I represent the 141st District. These are people who've had their homes reassessed. And by the way, they should be reassessed on more regular basis, but they hadn't been done for a while. So the taxes in this community automatically went up the next year. That's not to mention that before last term of Mayor Brown, taxes went up. The last term of Mr. Scanlon, taxes went up. And now we're talking 25% additional. That's too much. And it's way over what I think people can afford, particularly since we're living at a time when the price of gas is going up, the price of food is going up, the cost of utilities is going up. People's incomes on the east side of Buffalo don't change as readily, perhaps, as those in other sections of the city and, quite frankly, other sections of the world. And so I am interested in protecting those folks who live in and around the city of Buffalo who can't afford a 25% hike in their sales property tax, particularly since it's been increasing regularly of late.
Based on your conversation with Mayor Ryan, does it feel like that 25% figure his team has floated out is a real number, or do you think it's a negotiating tactic that he's just trying to, play hardball?
Well, I don't think it's a good negotiating tactic to scare the people, to throw fear into the mix. It just creates chaos for people. And I think you are able to work better with your constituency as well as those around you who are going to support the things that we can do to help you, because when you're helped, we're helping our constituents. But I don't think you should put out a scare tactic to start a negotiation process. As a matter of fact, I think you set things back when you do that.
You've been a longtime leader in the assembly. Obviously, you're the majority leader. You've been through many budget cycles, both at the state level and, of course, have seen what's gone on in Buffalo here. Is Mayor Ryan asking above and beyond what normally a city should ask of the state in terms of pitching in to help?
Well, I don't think he's asking necessarily above and beyond. As you know, the governor in her 30-day amendments added additional resources for Buffalo. And, but I think what he is asking that has not been asked before, and many in Albany are reluctant to do, is to borrow resources from the Buffalo Fiscal Stability Board and have it stay in a soft mode as opposed to going hard. That is something that's non-traditional, and that is going to be a challenge to do, not just during the budget process, but to do it all. And so I think we have to, look for other ways that we can help him, because when we help Mayor Ryan, we're helping our constituency.
Do you think it's going to end up being one or the other? If you want to be able to borrow from the control board, you've got to have that hard control status, or if you want, no hard control, then you don't get to borrow.
Well, I mean, if you understand the way the law is written, you already know what your options are. And if you think the only way you can solve the city's finances is if we literally alter the legislation to your benefit, I'm not sure that's is a realistic opportunity, and I don't think it's a question that shouldn't be asked. If you need that much money from the Fiscal Stability Board, then you should be willing to deal with the fact that you're going to go into a hard place. By the way, it's not new for Buffalo. Buffalo's had a hard Fiscal Stability Board in place before, and we made it through it. And so if we have to go that way again, I think we'll make it through that way again. Although I think this has to be a communication with the Comptroller's office, because they are the authority that could potentially be borrowing the resources that the city of Buffalo needs.
Certainly, Mayor Brown inherited that hard control status when he was elected back in 2005. And, the Ryan administration has pointed out time and time again, if, the Brown administration had simply done the 2.5% sales tax over his tenure, we wouldn't be in this position. Is it fair to criticize the previous administration? Maybe they should have raised taxes. Do you think they should raise taxes?
At some point, you have to run the office. You've already ran the campaign and you won. So you can't keep going backwards trying to find reasons why you're here. You knew that before you got here. What you should be trying to find is solutions to where you are right now and how to make it better for all the constituents in the city of Buffalo.
Majority Leader, as it stands right now, based on the information can you support the legislation being proposed to allow that $500 million borrowing through the Fiscal Stability Authority without it going into hard control status?
I do not. I've made that clear. I do not support that. I don't have a problem with the Fiscal Stability Board borrowing for the city. If that's the decision they've made collectively, go for it. But it's going to go into a hard status, and that's just the way it is.
Next on the agenda, the Common Council Finance Committee meeting this week was giving Bret Hart versus Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 13 vibes. I'll have a full recap right after this. Oh, hello again. The Buffalo Common Council is sounding off on the Ryan administration about a variety of issues, but mainly asking, what is even happening?
Mayor Ryan was sworn in 116 days ago, and it's looking like the honeymoon is over. But that's budget season for you.
But the way it sounds right now, we look insane. We look like we don't know what we're doing. We look like we're playing government, like this is mock city government.
A lot of council members are getting calls from the media, and that's the first time they're hearing of it.
Didn't get a call from anyone, from the administration, emails, texts, nothing. And so that's problematic to me.
There's been a few issues that have been slowly brewing for a couple of weeks that seemingly boiled over on Tuesday. The first was the Ryan administration proposing changes to an action plan that would have seen a total of $137,000 taken from organizations like the African American Cultural Center, Community Action Organization, Buffalo Urban League, Center for Employment Opportunities, and more. Council members rejected that proposed change.
But there is not one day in this world where I am going to support a plan where we're pulling funding from Black and Brown community centers. That is insane to me that we're even having this conversation.
And pointed out that the bare minimum was done to notify city residents about the public hearing on the issue. The Ryan administration staff told council that a notice had gone out to the Buffalo News and the Challenger newspaper. WGRZ did not receive that notice.
And to make a statement that you talked to the community at a public hearing that none of those who represent the community, who are closest to the community, knew about is a problem. Can you explain why that is?
Well, I can give a little more context on the reprogramming of.
No, why didn't we know about it?
Like I said before, there were some technical issues with sending out the mass emails, but it's something we want to integrate and work with the.
This is government. If we can't print things, technical problems don't inhibit us using our feet and walking to 9 offices in this building.
The boiling over continued when council members questioned the ever-changing deficit figures and being the last to know about the administration seemingly wanting to no longer sell the city-owned parking ramps, something the Common Council approved that the Scanlon administration actually pursue with the state legislature.
To find out things via press releases and media is not a good step to transparency, cooperation between the two bodies. So there is a problem.
This is not the state. There are not 2 separate houses, 2 separate chambers where we each put in one house proposals, and then all 3 of us get together with the second floor, which happens to be the governor's office, and then we negotiate. These are things that have to happen ahead of time, and we're looking really crazy right now in city government.
At the end of the day, the big disconnect seems to be a complete breakdown of communication, or perhaps a lack of communication altogether, between the administration and the council.
We all really need to get in the room and examine these and not just read things in the media of what could happen potentially.
We are going back to school now on the agenda. Alumni at Burgard High School are putting the Buffalo Public School District on notice about the conditions inside Burgard, and they're simply unacceptable for students, they say. A bathroom that has been broken for an entire school year. Other bathrooms lacking toilet paper and feminine products. Holes in the ceiling. Clocks that don't keep time, ceiling tiles holding back the water from a leaking roof. These are the conditions that the Burgard Alumni Association brought to the attention of the Buffalo Public School Superintendent and Board of Education last week.
Somebody's hollering about the lights out. We go to board meetings every other week and there's lights out in the building that have been there since last year. You have 2 people that staff that building to clean it. There are 47 classrooms. There are 4 floors. There's no way in the world you're cleaning 47 classrooms, 4 floors every night. So consequently, when we come through the building, say you go to the restroom during the meeting, you walk into a bathroom, it's filthy. You don't want to use it. You don't want to touch it. There's garbage everywhere. You got young people. We all know the culture of Buffalo has changed. When you see that for children, what do you think it conveys to them?
There's several things. We just want to know who's the one to be accountable? The engineer for the building? Who's over the engineer? If he doesn't do what he's supposed to do, who do we reach out to other than the principal? The principal say he puts in tickets and the tickets don't get taken care of.
Burgard High School, I heard you, and I was looking at our capital outlay, the amount of money that we have to maintain our 71 buildings. It's only about $7 million. That's not enough to be able to maintain those buildings. But at the same time, I've seen also some funding that's maybe sitting there where schools were supposed to paint. We have 2 painters in our schools, in our district, but we have money there that we can contract with other folks. That's some work that we need to do on our end. So to Burgard folks, we're able to send folks there over the weekend. They were able to clean up what they were able to on Monday as well. But my apologies, the way our schools are looking, and we have to do our best to be able to make sure that our buildings are looking the way they're supposed to be.
This week, they're talking with Two on Your Side because they feel the conditions inside Burgard High School.
Something that you wouldn't want your kids to be involved in.
Al Parker is the president of the Burgard Alumni Association. On top of the obvious conditions you can see when you enter the high school, Parker says daily cleaning isn't happening either.
It's daily that those rooms and facilities should be cleaned. Restrooms daily should be cleaned and sanitized, mopped. None of that's getting done in Burgard.
You expressed your concern. What answers have you gotten from the district to just about the concerns you've had?
Well, see, that's the problem. We haven't got any. We haven't had any answers. We haven't had anybody really contact us. As far as the facility of the building, no one has actually came and gave us an answer.
Conditions you wouldn't expect at other BPS schools.
Absolutely not.
Maria Dockery is the vice president of the Burgard Alumni.
If this was a city honors, if this was a Olmsted, I mean, any of those schools, it would not be okay. And then even we had a conversation with the engineer, and the engineer said if this was Sweet Home, this wouldn't be happening. How can you dare compare and make the kids in the inner city less than someone because they're in the suburbs? That's completely unfair. We really want an environment that the kids will be able to safely come to. If we offer and give them the place where they can come in that is clean, that is safe, that where they can get their basic needs met, then we can ask them to show up as their best self. We can't expect them to come in better than what we're producing for them to be able to come into. That is just not acceptable, and it's not okay.
And you want these things fixed
like
now.
Yesterday.
I reached out to Buffalo Public Schools Wednesday, and they sent a lengthy statement, which we have posted in full right now on WGRZ.com. But a spokesman said in part, keeping the district schools such as Burgard High School as clean and welcoming as possible remains a priority. This past weekend, the school's 2nd and 4th floor hallways were polished, while the 1st and 3rd floors will be polished this weekend. The carpet in the alumni room, auditorium, and main office was also cleaned. The school's bathrooms were power washed. The freshman bathroom remains closed to better monitor who is using the bathroom and because of a plumbing concern. The district added that feminine products are available in the nurse's office. State law, however, mandates they be available in restrooms. For the Burgard alumni, all of this comes down to accountability.
And these are real concerns. We want to hold the kids accountable, but who's holding the district accountable?
All right, that's it for the agenda this week. Thanks again for watching. I'm Nate Benson, and we'll see you at the next one. Just grabbing my laptops. Just grabbing my laptops. All my laptops.